Hey guys, welcome to TCB Cards. I'm Tanya, and today I have a new card tutorial for you. The inspiration for this card came from a color challenge from my team. The colors used are Calypso Coral, Cherry Cobbler, and Old Olive. This is the card that I'm going to be showing you how to make today. You can see where I used all three of those colors, and there's another one right here. This one I added some little splatter, and I'll show you that later on in the video, but I gave it a little bit more of the Calypso Coral to add to that. So let me show you what I used to make that card. Is first of all the stamp set called First Frost. It's a really lovely set. It's great for all occasions. You can tell this card is a little bit more Christmassy. Here's to a season filled with warmth, comfort, and good cheer. And I tried to, use the cherry cobbler and the olive green, kind of more Christmassy colors. But you can do so much with this set right here. And it is in the new holiday catalog, and it is found on page 37. And there's actually a whole suite that goes with it, or that can be purchased with it. It's called Frosted Floral Suite. And right here you can see the actual stamp set, all the different pieces. And some of these pieces also coordinate with the Frosted Bouquet framelits dies. So you can use some of these to cut out the images here of the stamp set. You can purchase the stamp set and the dies in a bundle, and you'll save 10%. But you can see here there's also some other items for the suite. You've got this really pretty frosted floral designer series paper. And then you have a cardstock pack with these three colors, the Blackberry Bliss, Gray Granite, and Tranquil Tide. And then there's some ribbon and epoxy little droplets there. And then these cute little boxwood wreaths even. So those are some other items that you can purchase with this stamp set to create a whole suite with it. All right, well, let's get started. First of all, I'm going to take my Calypso Coral card base, and we are going to just fold that in half to make sure my corners are lined up real well. And then use my bone folder to get a good crease. And then we are going to take a piece of Whisper White cardstock, and this is going to be our card insert. And I like to use my Tombow liquid glue. Yeah, I just like to give it a little bit of glue in the corners and a little bit down the middle. Line it up. And once I've got it where I want it, press it down, and we're good to go. If you're wondering about the measurements of the different cardstock, you can find that on my blog. If you're watching this on my YouTube channel, just head on over to tcbcards.com and you will find all the measurements, all the products that was used to create this card. All right, I'm also going to go ahead and glue on my card front, and that's the Cherry Cobbler piece. I really love the Tombow. You may prefer something different, and that's fine. I like that I have a little bit of a wiggle room, but then once it's on, it's on. I don't have to worry about it coming back off. All righty. Next, we're going to take a piece of Whisper White, and this is going to go on top of my Cherry Cobbler when we're all done. First thing I'm going to do is I'm going to take the rose from the stamp set, and actually it is the larger of the roses. There's a smaller one as well, but we're going to use this one right here. And I'm going to ink it up real well. And I always like to look on the back to make sure I've got the ink where I want it. And then I'm going to turn it a little bit and just press straight down and come straight up. Awesome. I just love this rose. It looks so three-dimensional. And then I'm going to take this other one. I think I'll put it right there, kind of go in the other direction. And one more. And I'm going to do this one this way. There we go. While I have this out, I'm going to go ahead and take a scrap piece of Whisper White, ink it up, and I'm going to go ahead and stamp that right here. In just a little bit, I'm going to fussy cut this rose, and we're going to dimensional it and lift it up on the card. But let's go ahead and do the greenery. I'm going to clean off my stamp real quick. And I just love this new chamois. I don't know if any of you guys have this yet for cleaning your stamps, but it is awesome. You might want to check that out. All right, next we're going to stamp these leaves. Let me show you which ones we're using. It's this long string of leaves right here, like a vine. And I'm using the Old Olive, but I am going to stamp off because I want it to be a little bit lighter. And so let me go ahead and ink it up, and I'll show you how I do that. I'm going to stamp it off one time. And I'm going to line up the end of it between these two roses. And then just straight down and straight up. Do it again. Don't forget to stamp off. I've done that many times. And then I'm going to put another one and go in the other direction just a little bit. There we go. And now I'm going to go between these two roses, doing the same thing. One more over here. All right, I like the way that looks. And then I'm going to do one kind of coming out from here. Well, two actually. Show you how I'm going to do that. All right, I'm going to take one, go in that direction. And then one, kind of go in the same direction, but a little space between it. All right. That part is done. Now I'm going to take this stamp, which is this one right here. Looks like a little branch with some berries on it. And I'm also going to ink it up with Old Olive, but I will not be stamping this off. This will be a little bit darker. And it's going to go right on top of these other leaves, right between these roses, just like I did the other ones. There we go. Doing the same thing here. And then one more time down at the bottom. All right, it's looking good. I'm going to go ahead and clean this off. All done with that one. There we go. While I have the Old Olive ink out, I'm going to set this to the side. And I'm going to go ahead and stamp my greeting here. Here's to a season filled with warmth, comfort, and good cheer. And I'm going to use, a scrap piece of white and the Old Olive. Go straight down and straight up. All right, looks good. I can close this up now, and I'm going to clean my stamp off. I know my chamois looks dirty, but it's just the ink. It doesn't come off on your fingers or anything like that. And it's just wet with water, and I let it dry in between my stamping sessions, and then I wet it again when I'm ready to go. All right, I'm gonna go ahead and fussy cut my rose that I cut out earlier. There is a die that you can use for this. If you're gonna be cutting multiple roses, you might want to do that. But this is a pretty simple image to cut around, so I'm just gonna, hopefully that's in focus. I'll just show you how I fussy cut around this. If you notice, I'm turning the paper more than I am my scissors. That makes it a little bit easier to get around into those curves and crevices. And when I fussy cut, I do always leave a little border around. I don't cut right on the image. I'm sure you noticed that. All right, so that is ready. So I'm going to use dimensionals to pop this up. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to put two, one on each side. Well, there we go. And I'm going to put that one right here. There we go. I love how that looks. All right, we are going to take a piece of Old Olive cardstock, just a scrap piece that I have. And this is our 2-inch punch, circle punch. I'm just going to go ahead and stick that in. Punch out that circle. And then I'm going to take my 1 3/4 inch punch. It's a circle punch as well. And this time I'm going to line up my greeting right there. Move it around till I get it exactly where I want it. And then I'm holding it down, and then I punch it. All right. And I'm actually going to dimensional this as well. Uh-oh, sorry about that. I'm going to put probably about 3 of these on there. I want to make sure it stays nice and popped up. Take the backing off and get it to work. There we go. And now it's sticking to me. All right, I'm going to get that even. All right, there we go. All right, that's ready as well. All right, one thing I wanted to do was add berries to this. So I am taking my Stampin' Write marker in Cherry Cobbler. You can see that. And I'm going to take the fatter end. We have the thin and the wide. And this is the way you can tell on the marker. This is the thin side. And this is your thicker side, so it's got the thicker tip. And all I'm going to do is just go over these dots. Just kind of press down on each of those berries. And if you either don't have a Stampin' Write marker, or you just like the berries green like they are, that's perfectly fine. I think it looks good with the green berries as well. But I decided I wanted to give it a little bit more color. So I decided to go ahead and make my berries Cherry Cobbler. And it really doesn't take much time at all. just to go over those. And you don't have to be perfect about it, just giving it a little bit of color. And you could even do, leave some green and some red. When you see bushes with berries on them, a lot of times some of them are still green and some of them have already turned, so you could always do that too. All right, so that is done. And we're going to glue, actually I'm going to go ahead and glue this piece. No, you know what? I forgot about my spritzing. Actually not spritzing. What I'm going to do is add a little bit of the Calypso Coral. It's my original card. The only Calypso Coral in it was my base piece. And I wanted to give it a little bit more to bring in the Calypso Coral. So if you can see here, I've got just little splatters of Calypso Coral. And the way I did that is I took my Calypso Coral ink pad, give it a little push in the middle, and this is the older style, but you can do this with the newer style as well. And so now I have some ink right there. I'm going to take my aqua painter, and you want to make sure it's wet, but you don't want it to be too wet or it'll just end up being water spots on your card. And I will tell you that when you do this, if you're not careful, or even if you are careful, the ink can splatter. So if you have anything on your desk or work area that you don't want to get ink on, you make sure you move it, or you can do this inside of a box. It does wipe up really easily, depending on your surface. But and you're just I'm gonna knock it right on my finger, and you can see that color coming out. I'm gonna add a little bit more ink to it. And some more up here, because this part down here is going to be covered up, so I want to make sure. There we go. I think that'll be good enough. All right, and I am going to go ahead and glue this onto my front using my liquid Tombow again. I like to kind of put my little circles in the middle. And I'm going to line that up. Press down. This still might be a little bit wet, so I don't want to smear it. So I'm just pressing. And then I'm ready for my sentiment. I'm just going to give that a good bit of glue there in the middle. And then I'm going to slide that up under the rose a little bit. Press that down. And there we go. All done. Well, I hope you enjoyed my tutorial today, and that you enjoyed this card made with the First Frost stamp set. If you do not have a demonstrator and you do not have this holiday catalog, I would be glad to get one to you. So please let me know. This catalog is good until January 2nd, so you have plenty of time to still look through this and see all the beautiful things that are in here. There's so much awesome stamp sets and other products as well, but it was very hard for me to decide which stamp sets I wanted to order from this catalog. Here's the final card once more. And thank you so much for being here, and I hope you have a blessed day.